Saltfish and dumpling is one of my all-time favorite meals. If you want to see how to make this delicious yet simple dish, just keep watching. Let's start by making our dumpling dough. Here I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and to it I'm just gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of sugar. The sugar is completely optional, I just prefer it in my dumplings. Give that a good mix to ensure that everything is well incorporated, and then start gradually adding your water. I use lukewarm water, otherwise the dough comes out a bit too stiff. So as usual, we're just squeezing the dough to bring together. Always gradually add your water to avoid adding too much and then having to compensate with more additional dry flour. I love making dumplings because aside from the fact that they're so delicious and they basically go with anything, they are so easy and hassle-free to make. Yeah, it's a bit messy and you have to get your hands dirty, but it's all worth it in the end. With any dough that I'm working with, when it comes together, I usually clean and wash my hands and then come back with clean hands to complete the kneading process because it makes it so much easier, guys. Trust me on this one. The beauty of making dumplings is that you don't really need to knead it in any special or particular way because you don't need that gluten to form, you just need the dough to come together. So I usually just knead my dumpling dough for about 2 to 3 minutes and call that a day. When you're finished kneading, you're just gonna set aside your dough until you're ready for it. In the meanwhile, we can start preparing our saltfish. I used this 12-ounce packet of boneless saltfish. Nothing special, it's just what I'm used to using. You're also gonna need some onion, garlic, and pimentos, along with some cubed up tomatoes. I used 4 small tomatoes here. Now this has a lot of salt in it, so the first thing that I do is empty the contents of the package into a bowl, and then I run some water over it to rinse out some of that salt. I know that it's saltfish and it's supposed to be a bit salty, but I don't like mine too salty, so that's why I do this step, but it's completely optional. To a pot of boiling water, you're then gonna add your saltfish pieces and let it boil for about 15 to 20 minutes to soften up. It's been 20 minutes and my saltfish is ready to strain and prepare for the next step. After straining, you're then gonna use your hands or fork to break up the saltfish chunks into smaller pieces. This part should be pretty easy as we boiled the saltfish before, so it's softened up. This is what it should look like when you're done. To a heated pot, you're then gonna add some oil, let that heat up for about a minute, and then add in your veggies. You can never go wrong with a combination of onion, garlic, and pimentos. I call it my dream team combo. Give that a good mix and let that saute for about a minute. You want to keep a close eye on this because you don't want your veggies to burn. After about a minute, it's now time to add in your saltfish. Mix well to incorporate everything. Y'all, this is one of the easiest and most delicious meals you'll ever make. It's totally worth it, trust me. Next, you're gonna add in your tomatoes and mix that in well. The tomatoes gives it a nice color and it also adds a little moisture to the saltfish so it doesn't come out too dry. I like my saltfish on the saucy side, especially if I'm having it with dumplings. So after everything is mixed and well incorporated, I go in with a little bit of water, not too much, mix that in well, and then I cover it and let it cook for 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes and everything looks great already, but I personally don't like to see big chunks of tomatoes in my saltfish, so I'm just gonna go in and take the back of my spoon and mash up some of those pieces. This is totally optional, this is just my personal preference. Because the tomatoes that I used were small, they aren't producing as much liquid as I would like, so I'm going in with a little bit of water again. I'm gonna mix that in, cover, and let it cook for a further 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, this is what we're looking like, and I would say it's perfect. It's not too dry, it's not too soggy, it has a great color, everything is just perfect. Now that our saltfish is done, let's make our dumplings. We prepared our dough earlier and it's just been resting and waiting for its turn. Firstly, I'm gonna divide my dough into 2 equal parts. Dividing it makes it easier to roll out. Sprinkle some dry flour on your work surface and roll out your portioned dough pieces one by one. How thin you roll it out is up to you and how you like your dumplings. I like mine on the thinner side, so I roll it out a little thin, but not as thin as a roti. Also, don't panic if it's not rolling out in a nice circular shape because that really doesn't matter here. We're gonna cut it up into pieces anyway. When you're finished rolling out your dough, you're then gonna take a knife and cut it into smaller pieces. The size is totally up to you and how small or how large you'd like your dumplings. I don't like my dumplings too large because I like them easy to eat, so I cut them up a little on the smaller side. Half of my dough gave me 15 dumplings at this size, so I got about 30 dumplings in total. To a pot of hot water, you're then gonna add in your dumpling pieces to boil. When you've added in all of your dumpling pieces, give it a good mix so that it doesn't stick and let boil for 15 to 20 minutes. After 15 minutes, my dumplings are done and ready to strain. Now that the dumplings are done, let's assemble our dish. I hope you enjoyed this recipe today, guys. This is one of my go-to meals, so I definitely hope that you try it. If you like my content and want to see more, let me know by hitting that like and subscribe button. Until next time.